to the Redevelopment Agency of the City of San Bernardino. Before we go into closed session, I'd like to ask the City Attorney if there's anything to add to the closed session agenda.
There's nothing to add, Mayor.
Thank you. We will reconvene here, open session at 5 p.m. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us tonight. I ask that you please silence your cell phones. At this time, I'd like to invite Father John Alexandros from St. Prophet Elias Church to come forward to lead us in the invocation. Please all rise.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to offer this opening prayer. And I would like to thank the City Council members and the citizens of San Bernardino for inviting me today. Prophet Elias Parish has been on Bunker Hill since about 1950. We've seen a lot of things in the city of San Bernardino. And San Bernardino continues to be our home, and we continuously pray for its success and its movement forward. For those of us that would like to join me in saying to our Father, please join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. O Lord Jesus Christ, our God and Heavenly Father, send down through your Holy Spirit upon this council the wisdom to discern, the strength to persevere, and the heart to love. Guide them as they continue to realize that their actions are powerful and impact many both directly and indirectly. Help them always see that each person is a living icon of your image and likeness, honoring as they have all with dignity and respect. We offer praise to you, O God, and ask that you bless their families and families of all those who work and live in the city. And let us remember, O Lord, that it is yours the kingdom, the power, and the glory today and unto the ages of ages. Amen.
Thank you. We will now ask our city manager to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
In honor of flag and country, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We have no appointments this evening, but we'll ask the city attorney to give us a report from closed session.
Yes, Mayor. In item number A regarding existing litigation in the case of Quang Yi, council gave litigation directed by vote of 6-0 with Valdivia abstaining. And in item number B, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, the matter of Coles versus City of San Bernardino. Council gave settlement directive by vote of 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good evening again. I have the distinct pleasure of presenting a couple of certificates of recognition. The first one I'd like to recognize is the U.S. Boxing Junior Olympics champion for the 13-year-old division, the 13-14, Charles Harris. The Mayor and City Council hereby join to recognize and commend you for your extraordinary victory at the USA Boxing's Junior Olympics. Your dedication is to be commended. We honor you for your hard work and dedication to the sport of boxing and for bringing pride to our city. Keep up the good work and best of luck in future tournaments. This is a dynamic program that's put together for our youth to be able to learn life skills and to compete on a national level. And so I'd like Charles to come forward for just a moment. And there were some really poignant times, very instrumental techniques that Charles deployed when he was boxing. I had a chance to view his boxing the last bout where he won the national championship. And I'd like him to explain what it was, the advantage that he had over his competitor.
I used the style that my coach gave me. I use my distance because I have long arms.
You get a chance to watch that bout. He commanded all 3 rounds, and it was just a real professional display of his talent. Next, Kenny Labatos. The Mayor and City Council hereby join to recognize and commend you for your extraordinary victory at the USA Boxing Junior Olympics. Your dedication is to be commended. We honor you for your hard work and dedication to the sport of boxing and for bringing pride to our community. Keep up the good work and best of luck in your future tournaments. So, Kenny, as I understand, he actually lost to the fighter that he beat in the championship, and I asked him to come forward and give us a little bit of some of the tips that he used in defeating his opponent.
It took hard work and pressure, and then just keep rushing.
All right. Charles? And then there's terrible Terry Washington. Well, you want to give that quick report? Because Terry originally came back number 5, but I guess there's been a change. So if you want to report that.
Yeah, to all 3 of these guys, we have 2 ranked number 1 in the United States, and Terry's just been bumped up. I just got an email as I'm sitting here to number 3.
So Terry's story is really very inspirational. Terry, a couple of weeks before he competed, had actually, through some incident, had a hairline fracture in his foot. And so during the 2 weeks leading up to when most athletes are trying to get to that point of peaking, like in any marathon, he was not able to practice. But they monitored him and they watched to see if they thought he was going to get well enough. They still weren't quite sure. They decided to send him, and at the last minute decided to include him in the competition. And so he won his first bout, and now apparently has been ranked number 3 in the nation. And I'd like Terry to tell us also what it was that gave him the advantage.
He was a counterpuncher, so I had to feint and then go in and then listen to my coach, and that's how I beat him.
Ian Franklin's dedication to Project Fighting Chance has really been an amazing journey that he's been engaged in over the last 15, 16 years. We appreciate all the hard work that he puts into giving those youth an opportunity after school. They do a lot of other things besides just boxing, and he's giving them a great start. So thank you very much, Ian, and thank you for bringing back 2 champions and number 3. Our Our next presentation will be presented by Councilmember Virginia Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is Reverend David McLaughlin here? Okay, good. Thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Reverend David McLaughlin as the Citizen of the Month for July 2017. And I'd like to read his bio because I think you'll be quite impressed in terms of what this pastor has done for our community, both as an individual and as the head of a church. Amazing things. Reverend David McLaughlin was appointed to serve as the senior pastor at St. Paul's United Methodist Church on February 1st, 2010. Since becoming pastor, his focus is to find ways to bless the neighborhood and San Bernardino. St. Paul's United Methodist Church is located 3 blocks north of City Hall on Arrowhead Avenue, right in the heart of the city. Last year, more than 23,000 meals were served at the church through the many partnerships that he has developed, including a free feast on Thanksgiving Day, which feeds around 500 people each year, a monthly food distribution through the food bank, a weekly breakfast with the San Bernardino City Mission, a monthly Saturday men's and women's breakfast, along with emergency food and hygiene supplies to those in crisis. The church has helped several individuals who have experienced homelessness to get off the streets and to reconnect with their families over the last few years. Each summer, St. Paul's United Methodist Church hosts a vacation Bible study that draws between 50 and 100 neighborhood children. Starting in 2012 via a partnership with the city's Park and Rec Department to run movies in the park, the church hosts free movie nights on the second Friday of each month. Reverend McLaughlin has taken youth on summer mission trips for the past 24 years through the Sierra Service Project. St. Paul's United Methodist Church adopted both Lincoln and Norton Elementary schools up to help them whenever there is a need. The church has a prayer quilt ministry that has dedicated over 600 prayer quilts for those in need. The church hosts both Alcoholic and Narcotics Anonymous groups and is in dialogue to start a Celebrate Recovery ministry. The vision for the church under Reverend McLaughlin has been to be a church of Acts, ACTS. A, aspiring to be like Christ. C, changing our community. T, transforming one life at a time. By S, sharing the hope of God's good grace. Ladies and gentlemen, let's congratulate and recognize Reverend David McLaughlin as Citizen of the Month for July 2017. And prior to bringing him up here to the podium, I'd like to have Cameron Griffin from the Assemblymember Mark Steinert's office to also present him with a certificate.
So from the Office of Assemblymember Mark Steinort, we just wanted to say thank you and congratulations on being Citizen of the Month. Thank you very much.
You know, it is a true blessing to serve in downtown San Bernardino, to be able to meet the kids of the neighborhood, to help those who find themselves struggling on the streets, and to be able to see them reconcile with families, move off of their addictions, and back into a life that they were meant for. St. Paul's United Methodist Church was founded in 1858, and I'm the 97th pastor that has served there. So being there for 7 years has been a blessing, and I look forward to continuing. We're in the middle of revisioning what Methodism might look like, taking the 7 churches of the region and looking at a reconfiguration to better serve the region on behalf of the church. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Marquez. Next, we invite Councilmember Richard to the podium.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I would like to call Lene Norwood up to the podium. Lene Norwood has earned the honor of being the State of California's Nonprofit of the Year. When she came to the community center, you know, she brought that wonderful smile with her. She assisted and helped a lot of the children in the community, and I'm so proud for that. And, you know, one of the things that I would love to do is take credit for all of it, but I know that that's one thing that I cannot do, and I really want to call up Councilmember Ricky Van Johnson up here because he's the one that started this project, and he's the one that fought the fight to get her there. And then I also want to call Assembly Member Eloise Reyes up here to the podium because without her, she wouldn't have received the award. So I'm not going to read Lene's bio. She has a very extensive one, but it's always wonderful for me to hear her speak because she can tell her program and talk about her program better than anybody around. So Lene, I would like for you to get up and talk about your program.
Good evening to all the distinguished stakeholders in the room and the community. I really just want to thank the City of San Bernardino and specifically the Department of Parks and Recs for giving United Nations of Consciousness the opportunity to operate and bring a vision to the community that helps serve specifically African American families and communities, but also all communities and people in the community that are in need. So it's just been quite a journey. When we started off with our little community cleanup back in 2015, we just really wanted to be the change. We saw a need in San Bernardino. We really just wanted to roll our sleeves up, dig in, and contribute to help making this a better city for everybody. So from there, to be able to operate our after-school program, we serve over 125 kids in our summer camp and have expanded to do so much more. It's just been quite an honor and a great journey to be a part of. So thank you all, and continue to take chances on young leadership that might not have the track record, but has the heart and the drive and the passion to help be the change.
I also want to bring up Cameron Griffith from Assemblymember Mark Steinnorth's office.
So Lene Norwood, we've known each other for a minute now, but I just want to say congratulations and thank you, Eloise, for spotlighting someone so great in our community who's doing great work. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember. Now, Councilmember Richard has another presentation.
Good evening again. At this time, I would like to call up Councilmember John Valdivia, and he's going to assist me with the large crowd here. We have a wonderful group here, and thanks to Sheila Lilly for making the call and inviting all of these young volleyball players back to our community. Woo! We have the Rancho Valley Volleyball Club, and they're the Junior Olympic Volleyball medalists. They actually practice here in San Bernardino at the Pierce Sports Center.
Good evening, everybody. It's such an honor to recognize the Rancho Valley Volleyball Club. Rancho Valley Volleyball Club is the oldest and most successful junior Olympic volleyball club in the Inland Empire. They are a perennial top 20 club team in the Southern California region of USA junior volleyball in each age division each year. That's impressive. That's great. which is the strongest region of our Junior Olympic volleyball in the country. Rancho Valley fields 22 teams ranging from 11 to 18-year-old players that play in tournaments all across the country. Rancho Valley Volleyball Club, established in 1994, has helped secure college scholarships for over 150 student-athletes from the Inland Empire. Rancho Valley had a total of 10 teams qualified to play in the USA Girls Junior National Championships in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Dallas, Texas this season. They made the medal podium a very impressive 3 times. That's awesome. And this is the most medals brought home by a single club in the history of USA Junior Olympic Volleyball Club and the Inland Empire. So I am certainly grateful for Councilmember Richard inviting me. Pierce Sports Center is in my district. It's a new facility that came online about 2 years now, and we're just excited to have the Sports Activity Center down on the south end of town, and we're so grateful for you ladies and Coach for your great, great accomplishments in our city. Thank you. Okay, we're going to hand these out. I'll hand them to Councilmember Richard. Steve Gazinga, our head coach. Ashley Agubata. Bria Boone. Kylie Kuhn. Congratulations. Natalie Grover. Liliana Hernandez. Nicole Kui. Bianca Rios, Madison Santiago, Emily Sibley, and Emma Thompson. Congratulations. All right. Where are we going? You gotta get them. Yeah, take them in the front. We're going to go in the front, girl. Take another picture. Okay, so that was our bronze team, that award winners. Now I'd like to recognize the girls coming in for the silver medal Patriot Division. Come on, girls. All right, our 17 select team finished rank 11 among 17 teams in Southern California. That was the last one. Okay, well, let's see here. There we go. The 14 premier team finished regional play with a standing of 22 of 277 teams in Southern California. They went on to compete in the USA Girls Junior National Championships, finishing second of 72 teams from all across the country and bringing home the silver medal and trophy in the Patriot Division. All right, so we're going to recognize some of you folks, and we're so elated at your accomplishment. Jordan Chernish. Maya Galvin, Sydney Gazinga, did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry. Mia Gorospi, Quincy Griffon, Savannah Hoffman, Leanne Queen, all right. Caitlin Reynolds, congratulations. All right, let's get in here. Go take a picture of us all. Thank you, Bill. All right, on to our gold medal division. All right. So these ladies, our 16 premier team had a spectacular season. They finished number 1 in all of Southern California regional standings, securing a bid to the American division of the USA Girls Junior National Championships. They ran through the 4-day event with an impressive record of 11-1. On the final day, July 4th, their efforts were rewarded with a gold medal and national championship banner. Freshman libero Selena Balderas and sophomore middle blocker Gian Jenna Patton, hey Jenna, were named to the All-Tournament team, and Eliana Tia Chavita was named the American Division's Most Valuable Player. Congratulations. All right, so Aleska Abari, Selena Balderas, Avery Boulos, Kendra Bratzler, Allison Casillas, Jania Chapman, Eliana Shavira, Daniela Lilly, Jenna Patton, Jillian Whitcomb. There you are.
Thank you, Councilmember Richard and Councilmember Valdivia. Next, we would like to invite Assemblymember Eloise Reyes.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council, City Attorney. Such a pleasure to be here. I know my staff, Roxana Gracia, usually is in attendance and shares a number of events that are coming up, and I'm on spring break or summer break, so I wanted to come out and say hello and give you a little report. I've been in Sacramento now for 8 months, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been able to do so much during those 8 months. Specifically within the state budget, I did reach out to many of you here. We reached out to the community and asked for ideas on things that needed to be funded. I'm so pleased to tell you that one of the items that was included in the budget, signed by the governor, is the Rosa Parks statue. That is going to be completed. Yes. Another area that I'm very happy and proud to report to you is that we all know that San Bernardino and Riverside have such a shortage of judges. We weren't able to get specific funding, but we did get, for San Bernardino, we got 2 more judges. I'm very happy to report that. We also got $5 million put into the budget specifically for bilingual teacher training and certification. That was a bill that I introduced. It was put into the budget. We've now included in the language of the bill the actual training that will happen for our teachers. We also have $50 million in ongoing Prop 98 funding for the after-school education and safety program to provide more services to more children. We also included in the budget incentive funding for UC and CSU campuses to be designated as hunger-free campuses to help low-income and homeless students combat hunger. And we've also secured funding to create and expand campus veterans resource centers for our soldiers who are going back to school. We also fought, I myself included, we fought for the full-time student success grant, which was increased by $25 million from Prop 98 General Fund, from the General Fund, Prop 98. And we also retained the Middle Class Scholarship, which enables thousands of California students to attend college. Both are vital to the academic success of our communities. I'm also, as I mentioned earlier, the Rosa Parks statue I'm very proud of. Colton also will be announcing something, but it didn't come to San Bernardino, so we'll let Colton announce that. I will tell you that as a freshman legislator, I'm so proud to tell you that we did introduce 19 pieces of legislation. We're so proud of what we were able to do. And of the 19, 15 of those have already passed through the Assembly onto the Senate, and 2 of my bills have now been signed into law. I'm very proud. I want to introduce to you Roxana Gracia. She is our field representative specifically for San Bernardino. So any questions or comments or issues, please reach out to Roxana whenever I'm not available. From my San Bernardino office also, Maha Rizvi, another field representative. And today I'm so proud to be able to introduce to you also from my Sacramento staff, my Chief of Staff, Mark Farouk, and my Legislative Director, Matthew Hamlet. There are 3 events that are coming up. We do have some flyers that I want to share with you all. One is the Bloomington Community Coffee on August 12th at the Bloomington Affordable Housing Apartments. The other is the Citizenship Fair Orientation, which I'm hosting with Senator Connie Leyva and CCAEJ, Saturday, August 26th. And the third is the San Bernardino Youth Luncheon on Saturday, August 26th at Our Lady of Guadalupe. Before I conclude, I also want to introduce someone who's very important to me, also an elected official here in San Bernardino. Frank Ray is my husband, who's a trustee with the San Bernardino Community College District. Our office is here in the Vanner Tower. I always remind my staff that the office doesn't belong to me, it doesn't belong to them, it belongs to the citizens of this great 47th Assembly District. So again, if there is anything that we can do through the office, if I can do something personally, if you have ideas, if you have comments, concerns, criticisms, I'm open. Come talk to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Next, we'll invite the Chamber to come forward.
Hello, my name is Alyssa King. I'm the Director of Sales of the Hampton Inn and Suites and Homewood Suites down on Hospitality, and I'll be doing the announcements tonight. So starting off, baseball season is that time again, so if you guys want to come support our local San Bernardino Inland Empire 66ers, please call the San Manuel Stadium at 888-9922 to get some more details and game times and dates. Thursday, August 5th at 8:15, the Junior University presents Peter Pan, and that's going to be at the Paris Hill Bowl. If you are interested in getting tickets, the number there is 889-0833. It's, like I said, baseball time again. The Western Regional Little League Tournament starts off and has their opening ceremony starting Sunday at 6 p.m. So if you would like some more information or tickets, please contact Little League. And then we would love to have you guys come to the Wednesday, our networking luncheon, and that's going to be Wednesday, August 9th. Last time we had about 45 people, so it was a great turnout. That was at Outback Steakhouse. This one coming up on the 9th at 11:30 is at Sundowners Restaurant, and that's located at 1131 South East Street. We ask that you RSVP just so we have an idea on how many people, how many tables, seats, and everything that we'll need to reserve. And please call the chamber office to RSVP for that. It's at 11:30. And then don't forget to mark your calendars for Saturday, October 7th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's the 5th annual rendezvous back to Route 66, and that'll be held at downtown San Bernardino. And if you would like more information, please contact the chamber. That's all I got.
Thank you. We now turn to our consent calendar. At this time, we would like to invite the public that wants to speak on these items. We have James Smith.
Thank you very much, worthy Mayor and fellow council members and guests in the audience. Tonight's a very important evening for the city of San Bernardino as we move out of bankruptcy and move to a new vision for the city of San Bernardino. And one important decision you're going to make tonight is to vote for a new city manager. And suffice to say, it's an emotional goodbye to the current city manager, Mark Scott, who has just done a tremendous job in the last 18 months. What has simply happened is that our city has moved forward so dramatically. First of all, Burtech took over our solid waste management. Very good decision. Secondly, and probably the most important part, is that our city fire is now run by the county fire. And I talked to our fire chief the other day, responsible for this area, and he says it works out so well because the county fire doesn't have any wards. They have the whole county, and it really has moved very smoothly to make a transition here in the city of San Bernardino, reducing the response times by over 35%. And I think they deserve a round of applause for that great work. Third of all, we adopted a new city charter, which is a game changer for the city of San Bernardino. Takes away a lot of the uncertainty about the future of our city, gives the city manager direction over the staff, which I think is extremely important, and I think it has been wholeheartedly endorsed by our citizens. Very important long-term decision for the city of San Bernardino. And lastly, but not all, and I certainly want to thank all the leadership, including our city attorney, Gary Sains, the mayor, city manager, city council, our legal staff. We are now out of bankruptcy, which I think is tremendous, and I think that deserves a round of applause, too. The city of San Bernardino is on the move in a very positive way, and I strongly encourage the city council tonight to take very strong positive action, hopefully unanimous action, to welcome back as our new city manager, Andrea Miller. Welcome, Andrea. Looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Pamela Miller. If you could press the button. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. I actually wanted to speak very briefly to the pending contract with the new city manager. And in terms of fiscal responsibility, we have someone who's being paid substantially more than the average income in this area, substantially more than many of our elected officials who have a much wider range of opportunity. That's not to say that Ms. Miller is not competent nor qualified, but the fact is that that is not fiscally responsible when we're looking at the contract and the amount of money being put forth. We are not a city that can afford this level of expenditure.
Thank you. Joel Rothschild.
Council members, good evening. I recently retired from the U.S. Navy, where I had an opportunity to serve with Admiral Scott Swift. Admiral Swift is a four-star admiral who currently commands the U.S. Pacific Fleet out of Hawaii. Admiral Swift is responsible for military operations in a region exceeding 100 million square miles. He commands 130,000 troops, sailors and civilian employees, 200 ships, and 1,100 aircraft. He has budget responsibility for $20 billion. He maintains a grueling travel schedule, is often away from home for weeks at a time, and as a military commander, he faces hazardous duty. He is on the front lines with a potential conflict with North Korea. In response to this tremendous responsibility, the U.S. taxpayers pay him $187,000 a year. That salary is spread over 300 million American citizens. The same is true for all four-star generals and admirals, regardless of their abilities or their responsibilities. The maximum we pay any of our military commanders is $187,000 a year. But somewhere along the line, San Bernardino's lost sight of just how much $253,080 really is. The Census Bureau estimates that less than 3% of all U.S. households, not individuals, households, earn more than $250,000 a year. A salary like this can be justified in the private sector if the employee is bringing in that kind of value to the company, or perhaps the employee is in an extraordinarily dangerous or hazardous position with a high risk of injury or death. But it's inconceivable for a city whose residents continue to struggle financially. I do recognize that other cities may pay comparable salaries, and that San Bernardino has paid more than this for the city manager position in the past. But just because we've made poor decisions and mistakes in the past does not mean that we should continue to do so. Paying excessive salaries and unsustainable benefits is what brought down San Bernardino in the past. Some may argue that having a skilled city manager will save the city money in the long run, and that may be true. But the salary is not tied to achieving cost savings. It would be easier to understand why you're considering $250,000 per year salary if it was tied directly to achieving specific metrics that benefited the citizens of the city of San Bernardino. The salary, tying the salary to business success, job creation, and improving the quality of life would be something much easier to understand. There is also no evidence whatsoever that the city has tried to get a competent city manager with a lower, more reasonable salary. There may well be other qualified individuals who are willing to serve the city as manager for a much lower salary, but the city hasn't tried. While they may not be the best qualified for the position in the view of the current city manager and the council, they're nonetheless qualified. We may not be able to afford the best, regardless of cost. Instead, we need to staff the city within our own means and pay a salary that is not out of touch with the citizens of the city. A salary of $253,080 only serves to create an exclusive ruling class that is out of touch with the community. Either explicitly link the salary to achieving solutions to the city's long-standing problems, or find a city manager that can do the job that we can afford. I'll conclude by emphasizing the importance of showing up and making these comments. I expressed my concerns to my representative and can see that he didn't bother to show up to carry them forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public speakers for our items on the agenda. Entertain a motion to pass the consent calendar. Any items to be pulled? Councilmember Marquez? No, none. Councilmember Barrios? 12. That's a staff. Item. No. Sorry. Councilman Valdivia?
Item 7.
Councilmember Charette?
No.
Councilmember Nickel?
Items 9 and 10.
Councilmember Richard?
None.
Councilmember Mulvihill?
None, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion to move the balance. Please cast your votes.
On the consent calendar, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette, the second by Mr. Valdivia, and it passed 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 7 is to approve the minutes for April 17th, April 24th, July 3rd, July 5th, July 7th, July 17th, and July 19th. Councilmember Valdivia?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like the record to reflect that April 17th. To clarify my abstention, I have medical consulting with DMRX on that matter.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
On item 7, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passed 6-0 with Mr. Valdivia abstaining.
Thank you. Next is item number 9. Item number 9 is a recommendation to adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino authorizing the city manager to purchase the city's property, auto, terrorism, and cybersecurity insurance policy for the policy term July 31st, 2017 through July 31st, 2018. Councilman Nichol?
Yeah, the question was simply posed to me about the process in which the quotes were obtained, and I guess we have an existing agreement with Aon, is that, and that was competitively procured, I assume? Is that how the process works? So there are more or less our consultant, and then they go out and receive the most competitive quotes for this insurance.
Could you press the button?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah, there were just some questions because the item didn't really discuss how Aon was procured, so just that clarification. I'll go ahead and move the item. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
On item 9, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Nichol. It was seconded by Mr. Charette, and it passed 7-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 10. Item number 10 is to adopt the resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino establishing the Department of Economic and Housing Development, establishing the classification and improving the job description of Director of Economic and Housing Development, amending the salary schedule adopted by Resolutions 2017-112 on June 21st, 2017, and amending the fiscal year 2017-18 adopted budget to consolidate the adopted budgets for the Community Development Block Grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, Home Investment Partnerships Program, the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, and the Economic Development Programs under the Department of Economic and Housing Development. Councilmember Nichol?
Yeah, again, constituents posed several questions to me, and first off, I want to say that I support this item. I think this is long overdue and appreciate that this is being brought forward to us now, and would certainly like to give both our outgoing and assistant city manager an opportunity to comment on the underlying concept of having both the economic and housing components of our operations under one director, and then also the process in which we anticipate soliciting for that position. And then also, this sort of dovetails to some degree with item 12, and I was wondering, and I don't know if I can do this because it's technically out of order, but is 12 something that would more appropriately be handled once this person comes on board and can provide some recommendations to us? I sort of feel like we're sort of operating in the dark in number 12 without having this person on board, whether that's even possible. I assume there's probably we've got to address some things in a timely manner, but I certainly think that, getting back to some sort of professional stability around here, we've got the right people making the recommendations that we need to understand if that's possible at all. But that's sort of a laundry list of ideas and questions. I'll give you an opportunity to respond, and I'll go ahead and second this motion if it hasn't been seconded already.
I'll take the second part first. Yes, this person in this position in the future would no doubt be taking the lead on projects such as the veterans housing funding that's included in the CDBG grant. Because it may take a while to fill that position, we felt that it was appropriate to put this on the agenda now for City Council discussion. You will note, and I know you have, that it's not on the agenda tonight to allocate funding. It's on to get City Council direction on how you want to proceed, what process you want to follow in deciding whether to fund that. We think the U.S. Vets project's a great project, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the item that's on the agenda is for City Council direction on how you want to proceed, what process you want to use to choose how to allocate that funding. In the future, this position would deal with that. I guess I'm so concerned that we start spending our CDBG money on a timely basis unless you had concerns over the quality of the staff report you get in the future. I think I would suggest you keep moving on that, but that will certainly be the council's prerogative. And I'll let Ms. Miller discuss the larger issues about this position?
This position is a new position for the city. We've had these functions.
Turn your light on.
It is on, sir.
It's on?
I'll speak more into it. How about that? So we have had these functions in other city departments. Portion has been in the city manager's office, and then in another portion of the manager's office, some of the economic development functions. In addition to that, the city owns tremendous assets, and we are working to do a much better job of maintaining our assets in the way residents expect them to be maintained, cutting down weeds and things of that nature. But there's a longer-term strategic discussion that we need to have about the use of those assets and whether we're really maximizing the use of those for the benefit of the community. We see this position having responsibility for all those things and looking for strategic opportunities to leverage the resources that we're receiving through HUD and other agencies with our economic development efforts and some of the existing assets that we have to create the best value for our community. So it is a new position for San Bernardino, but it is a position that many communities have, and that person would have some economic development experience, some transactional, that's really critical, transactional experience in terms of dealing with the development community to address their issues in a very timely and effective manner, and being very creative, again, in identifying partnerships and opportunities for us. Our goal would be to utilize a professional recruiter. We think that we are changing the complexion of San Bernardino, and we've heard this evening about things like the charter changes and other ways that we're working to professionalize the city staff so that we can bring very good policy recommendations to you with a lot of good data that you can look at and determine, again, what's ultimately in the best interest of San Bernardino. So we think a professional recruiter would be helpful to go out and really identify very strong candidates who have the training and the skills and the experience to really help make a difference in this community. We see that being about a couple-month process to really attract the type of candidate that we're hoping to attract. 2 or 3 months. We have identified a consultant. We requested informal proposals from several, very competitive proposals, and ultimately for this position we selected, they were all within just a few $1,000s of one another, but we selected this particular professional consulting services because they have done these types of recruitments in the past, and they can help with the recruitment effort because they've had so much experience in this particular area.
Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, this is essentially a new department.
Yes.
That will be staffed obviously by the director, and that person will need some support staff as well, and it'll answer, or it'll work under the city manager.
It will be like all other city departments that report to the city manager's office. It is a new position, but we have all the other existing positions in different areas of the organization. With the resolution that you would be adopting this evening, we would create that department and then move all those employees to that new department director.
Thank you.
Councilmember Marquez?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Miller, I have a question for you. I was reading the minimum qualifications, and the person that we're going to hire is going to have to walk on water and hit the ground running. I had a very specific question. Because this position will have to deal with real estate assets, would a real estate license be necessary or advantageous?
It would be helpful. Certainly not required, but yes, it would be helpful so they understand that market as well.
Okay, because I think if this candidate or candidates, if they have a real estate license, I think would be beneficial to our city, would understand it and would get it.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Did you move the item, Councilman?
John did.
And did you second it? All right. Please cast your votes.
On item 10, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Nichol, and it passed 7-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 11, adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, authorizing the mayor to execute an employment agreement for the position of city manager with Andrea Miller to commence on August 5th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Councilman Nichol?
Yeah, there were and I appreciate the work that the city attorney, city manager, and the council, quite frankly. I think this is, certainly during the time I've been on the council for the last few years, this has certainly been the most thorough, deliberative process that I think we've gone through in selecting our city manager. So I want to extend my appreciation to everybody who's been involved in this process. I think it's been very fruitful. I think it's been very productive. And I think overall, I think we've had a fairly reasonable meeting of the minds on the terms in which we are considering this evening. With that said, there are a couple items that were brought to my attention that I thought I would give an opportunity to respond to, and I think they've sort of come about in various ways over the last few weeks in public session and elsewhere. The first is obviously the issue of residency that has been discussed in various forms as pertains to city staff. It was a concern that was expressed to me to get your response in terms of obviously not living in the city, your perspective in terms of how that dovetails to your day-to-day responsibilities. Is it a benefit? Is it a liability? So forth. So maybe if you could respond to some of that. There's also a question related to, I know that there's some timelines in the agreement related to elections and the process of reviewing performance and so forth. Maybe you could discuss that and some of the logic and rationale behind that recommendation. And then in addition, I think one of the great aspects of this agreement that is, quite frankly, quite different from anything we've done before is the commitment all of us are making now in terms of engaging in a regular process of discussion and really establishing goals and priorities as pertain to our long-term strategic objectives in terms of economic development, addressing some of the chronic challenges we have in the city. And I think if you could discuss a bit about that process and the facilitator role and really what the intent is in terms of really trying to reach some consensus in terms of who will facilitate that process and how we'll move forward and how that dovetails in your performance review. Quite frankly, I tend to disagree with some of the public comments this evening. There is actually a very robust mechanism now to ensure that we both have a mechanism to define our expectations in terms of where we're going and what we expect of your role, and a mechanism in which we dovetail that into your performance reviews. So I think we actually do have a very good process in place that really, I think, sets this agreement apart from what we've done, certainly during the time I'm on the council. So again, I'll give the floor to you and look forward to your response. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I did take notes, but I took quick notes, and so if I missed something, please ask me to go back. With respect to residency, and certainly the city attorney's office can advise you.
We're not able to require residency. As you know, I think the question was more as to is there going to be any detrimental impacts by not being a resident of San Bernardino? If I could, I'd just like to respond quickly to the 60-day cannot be removed either prior to or after an election. That was there to keep the city manager free from the politics that are involved in elections and to keep her away from that process to the extent that we can. So that was there just to protect everyone from the political goings-on that happens with the elections, and that's why that was included in there.
This process was, I think, a very good one for the council and for myself because we had our initial discussion, and it was a good opportunity to hear some of the concerns that you've had with respect to the organization, the things that you feel that we've not been able to move forward on, and to really, again, understand what your expectations are of not only the city manager, but also all the employees that are working in your community. We, both the city attorneys and myself, tried to summarize all those. So you'll notice the agreement is, it's 11 pages. I think in the past it's been a few pages, so it's a much more robust agreement. And really it's because I tried to, as we drafted this, include all those things that you identified as being particular areas of concern for you and areas of opportunity, and make sure that we had the commitments by both the parties, both your new city manager, but also you as council members, and then ultimately the city. With respect to residency, I don't live in San Bernardino. I do live some number of miles away. I think all of you have had interactions with me, though, over the last year or so, or almost a year that I've been here, and even my prior experience in San Bernardino. I'm available, and I understand the role of the city manager is to be available really 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm comfortable with that. I have a family that's used to dealing with law enforcement issues and being public servants, and so that's not uncomfortable for anyone. And I think, again, each one of you has experience calling me at very late hours, and certainly the police department doesn't hesitate ever to call when they need some, nor the fire department. So again, I understand that role, and I will be here if we have an emergency or there's a reason for me to be here, and the distance is not going to be a barrier for that. I also don't know that where you live. I mean, I certainly am proud of the community that I live in. I happen to have been the city manager in the city that I live in, and I do have a special place in my heart for that community. That is where my family is. But I do also have a very strong sense of responsibility for the communities that I've served, this one being one of them, because I have been in this community previously, and I don't think that ever goes away. You still, when you hear a community that you served and something comes on the news, you do have a strong sense that you want to make sure that they're okay, and I'm sure that Mr. Scott would say that, and I think he's been in 8 communities. Still, when you hear something about one of those communities, your heart goes out to it, and you want to be there to assist. And I will tell you that I've reached out to communities I've served in the past to make sure that when they are dealing with difficult situations, that I'm still there as a resource to them. I do think it's important, however, as we move forward, that we look at positions within the city and to the extent we can encourage people to live here, because we do have a responsibility to be here in times of emergency, whether they're earthquakes or fires, and so it is helpful to have people that aren't going to take an extended time period to get here. And so as we move forward, one of the opportunities that we had with the new charter was to move Rebecca Kramer from that true civil service role into the city manager's office, and she's focusing on recruitment efforts, innovation lab, and some things like that we've been talking about to improve service in the community. And one of her areas of focus is going to continue to be attracting good people from our community to work in our city, and again, that strengthens us as an emergency services organization. With respect to the timelines in the agreement, I would just reinforce what the city attorney said. It's really important that as we move forward and we become a very functional, high-functioning, creative organization, that the city staff remains focused on serving the needs of this community. And that means that we provide the same information to every council member. We ensure that we care and promote the best interests of all areas, all wards within our organization. And so I think it's important that we have those mechanisms, and this agreement does provide those mechanisms to discourage involvement in political decisions. That's really your realm, and something that the council and the mayor and other elected officials in this community should be involved in. And we should continue to do our jobs regardless, and then work for the people that this community puts into office. So those were a couple of things that I think are important in this agreement that do, again, begin to set some parameters for the way we engage one another. One of the most important things I think about this agreement is the strategic planning mechanism. The council was adamant, and I agree, that we need to do more to create alignment, to define the council's priorities. You're with your community, and you understand what their needs and issues are, and it's important that as city staff members we have a very clear understanding and that there's some alignment amongst your goals and priorities. So it's important that we do that. We committed to do that a couple of times each year. That doesn't mean we only have to do it 2, but I think we all felt comfortable that we could at least do 2, and I think there may be some years, and maybe even in these early years, because it is a 5-year agreement with one-year extension, and I'm committed to staying here and making the changes, but it's important that in order to be effective that I'm on the same page as you and I understand what that is. So we've committed to doing it at least 2 times each year, and we can do it more, which I think is probably prudent in these very early years. From that, then I understand very clearly what the expectations are of the manager and of the city staff members, and then I can go out and communicate that to the staff and ensure that we're accomplishing the things that you want us to accomplish. So again, that strategic planning process is an important one. I think it's important that we agree on the facilitator. I think we're all going to get more out of it if we feel comfortable with that individual and that we feel that we can develop some relationship with them and that they're helping to monitor progress and quite frankly, keeping us all accountable, myself, the council members, but all of us accountable for doing the things that we committed to doing during that planning period. So I think that will be a very healthy process for us, and then that gives you a chance to include those in my annual performance evaluation so that those goals and objectives can be written down. We all agree to those, develop some relative priority, and then that way you can measure whether or not we've been able to accomplish those each year.
Councilmember Charette.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Henry, for those questions, and thank you for your responses. I'm going to state that I'm extremely pleased to be the mover of this, and you know that I've been a big supporter of you. I've worked with you in the past, and I'm very supportive of you. And as a senior council member here, been here sitting in this office, in this dais longer than anybody else, I think if you count, if we approve you tonight, if we count you as a city manager, I will have been through 8, you twice, and it's a total of 8 in a little less than 9 years. And I'm excited about the opportunity to have some tenure and have you here for 5 years plus. And I think that's going to be very, very important. We have not had continuity here, and that's what I'm thrilled about, and really very excited about where you're going to go. I'm not going to say any more than that. You've addressed your concerns. I mean, you've addressed what you're going to be doing. This has been a good process. I agree with Henry. It's been a good vetting process. I've been through some decent vetting processes in my tenure here. They haven't always been turned out exactly the way we wanted them, but I'm very excited and believe that this is going to be one of the best decisions that we've made, at least in my tenure. So, thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On page 5 of the agreement, this is 11-page agreement, and the most substantive that I've ever experienced, and I welcome it. I think it certainly outlines the parameters and certainly has specific guardrails that I'm in favor of. So page 5, section B, second paragraph, it says that the strategic planning, goal setting, and team training and development shall generally be conducted in the first quarter of the calendar year, January, February, March, to enable the city manager to incorporate information in the annual operating capital improvement budgets. The other sessions shall generally be conducted in the third quarter of the calendar year, July, August, September. So I just want to encourage you to, if you're approved tonight, let's immediately attempt to schedule that so we can get this ball rolling.
I think what I would like to do, and this is part of the reason why I said maybe more in some years, because I actually think in a couple years down the road, maybe this is a good schedule, but I agree. I would like to schedule something within the next couple months at the very latest,
Yep.
and then come back again in January, February,
Sure.
March, so we can talk about where we are and whether those are still the priorities. That's really critical, because then it gives us a head start on the creation of the budget and know that the budget really reflects what your priorities are for the city.
And I'm looking forward to the strategic plan. I think it allows the council to certainly reflect the voice of constituents that we represent and allow for you and your staff to kind of hear us out on some of our priorities. So I welcome that and certainly encourage you to schedule that almost immediately. On page 6, item number 6, I'm a little concerned with the language there on, it suggests the mayor and city council may in its sole discretion provide city manager an additional amount of money as an incentive bonus, an amount not to exceed 5% of her annual base compensation during the then current calendar year for having fully satisfied any. The word there that I'm concerned about is any. So 1 of 7, that qualifies as any. So I'm a little concerned and apprehensive that just the term any we somehow throw spaghetti on the wall, and we can classify that, well, I did some of that, so that qualifies as any.
Well,
Can you explain?
I really was, I'm not sure exactly, remember this came up as part of our discussion, and the council requested that we include some type of language. I think the point I focused on really more was that the council and mayor may at its sole discretion. So I mean, if you'd like to remove any, I was just trying to give you the latitude as the elected body that would ultimately be making that decision. Whatever you feel that you need to base that on. If you feel that maybe some of the goals in one given year, there was one that was really a very big priority for the council, and you understood that that one was the most critical one, but was very time-consuming, and that at the end of the year you evaluated and thought, that's really most important to us. I wanted to give you the discretion to do that. But again, it's at your sole discretion.
Well, and so the fully satisfied any, if we could maybe strike fully and any and simply put for having satisfied specific goals and objectives, so that it allows an allowance for us to at least provide those goals and objectives to the city manager, and we're not tied to any.
Right, that's fine.
If there's no objections from council members, I'd like that the record reflect that.
Well, one of the questions that I have that I'm concerned about is that I think that we intended this to not be limiting.
Right, I was
And
trying
so-
not to limit it so you could define what it was you
Right,
felt
so-
was critical.
As opposed to making it more limited. So that's one of the concerns I have by changing that. What, you're recommending that we do what, Councilmember?
So we strike the word fully and any and simply put for having satisfied specific goals and objectives.
I don't see that changes necessarily the nature by changing that.
If I can chime in there, I think that it's fully, or that it is at the discretion, completely at the sole discretion of the council, gives you the complete control to either give or to award or not to give, regardless of what was accomplished or not accomplished. It's then your discretion, your sole discretion.
I appreciate that. So that is my apprehension on the term any. The item 6 came before this council at the recommendation and stern encouragement that I suggested we have incentive, compensation, and some type of attachment rewarding good, positive behavior. I'm so glad that this actual item is appended into our agreement here because it allows for success. And when you succeed, we want to reward that. And I'm certainly a big believer that we should reward good, positive behavior and contributions to the organization, so I'm fully supportive of it. I also feel that for too long, the people of San Bernardino have suffered from a revolving door in our city manager's office. During Mayor Davis's 4 years in office, the council is now voting on the third city manager. San Bernardino cannot expect a successful recovery with this kind of rampant leadership turnover at City Hall. San Bernardino deserves a city manager who's committed to staying in the job for the long haul, not a short-term hire who's using their position as a springboard for employment elsewhere or spiking their pension prior to retirement. The people of San Bernardino certainly need a city manager who is committed to staying in the job for the long haul, not a short-term person. The people of San Bernardino need a city manager who will provide stability and vision. Ms. Travis Miller is certainly qualified for this position. However, I'm concerned that she has already deserted our city once before. Our community needs to hear from Ms. Travis Miller that she is committed to serving out her 5-year term of employment here in our city. They need to have her promise that she will stay throughout her contractual tenure and that she will not leave voluntarily for greener pastures somewhere else. So, Ms. Travis Miller, can you make this solemn commitment to the people of San Bernardino?
I will certainly answer yes and make the commitment, but I will just remind the council, I was here as your interim city manager previously, and I did not accept the permanent appointment because I recognized at that time I could not make the commitment given some of the dynamics. I feel that this council and this community have implemented a new charter. The council came together in really a remarkable way and had a discussion with me that we had not previously been able to have. a very remarkable discussion about what your expectations were. You committed to strategic planning. And so with all those things and a contract that really engages all of us in this process of building a better, stronger, more successful San Bernardino, yes, I can make the commitment to
Thank you.
remain here.
San Bernardino residents also need to hear about your vision for our city's future. We need more than an accountant in the city manager's position. We need a leader who can bring businesses and jobs to our city. We need a fighter who can get our city the federal and state resources that our community deserves and merits. We need a city manager with strong resolve to help our police take back our streets from the criminal thug element and reduce homelessness that is damaging our city's quality of life. Mr. Travis Miller, I strongly urge you to articulate the general outlines of your vision for our city tonight before the council votes on your contract, so that the people of San Bernardino can have confidence in the great authority that we would be placing in your hands as city manager and city manager of our city government.
We've had multiple discussions. We've had multiple discussions with Mr. Scott. We recognize that because of the bankruptcy and a whole host of other reasons, there are a lot of systems that are very broken in this organization, and certainly some of it stems from the turnover that you've had in leadership, not just in the city manager's office, but really throughout the organization. And some of that was certainly turnover, people choosing to accept other positions. Some of it was also, though, just the natural result of filing bankruptcy and some of the unfortunate position that we were in terms of layoffs. So there has been a lack of stability within the organization, and that's critical to the city's success. Initially, I would focus on building the right team. We took one step this evening to doing that, creating the right departments, getting the right staff on board, hiring the right talent, people that are truly capable of performing those positions, and not just promoting people who happen to be remaining there after the exodus that we've experienced. But really, and that's tough. But it means that every position needs to be filled with someone who is truly qualified for that position, and that we then create the systems so that we are able to provide effective service, efficient service, timely service, and create systems of accountability. So my first focus is really going to be on getting the right people in the right positions and creating systems so that we can truly provide service to the community. Really beyond that, though, we've spoken several times about the need for customer service. We agree with that. And my first priority is going to be raising the bar in the area of customer service. We are here to serve the needs of this community, and we need to be responsive to those issues. That doesn't mean that we can always say yes, or that we can say we can do that immediately, but it is an expectation that we respond effectively, we provide reasonable timeframes, and then we commit to doing something and actually doing it. And if we're not able to do that, then we go back and we communicate with the community why that is and give them a reasonable expectation of when we will be able to get something done. But we've got to build a culture, a service-oriented culture in this organization. It starts with training, but it really requires that everyone in a leadership position, everyone in a leadership position in this organization models the type of customer service and respectful service that we expect. So we'll focus on that over the immediate horizon. The strategic planning, I think, is critical. If we're really going to set the example and we're going to hold people accountable, then there has to be complete alignment amongst the council and the city manager's office, so I understand exactly what your expectations are. And if we have a misunderstanding about that, then I need to be able to come back to all of you and really understand what that is, and then go out and communicate that with the staff. And that way, when I tell the staff that this is the measure that's we're going to be used to evaluate our success as an organization, that doesn't change based on who they talk to. So again, creating the alignment, making sure people understand what the expectations are, setting the bar higher, and then holding people accountable for that. And then a whole bunch of other things you've asked me to do, like CIP and violence intervention, and we'll get those done too. But again, I think the internally we need to focus on developing our internal team.
Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Miller, I'm excited for you. This is a new day. I read the contract many, many times to ensure that I understood it, and it's pretty comprehensive. I think we discussed it for about 2-3 hours. It was well worth the time.
On the one occasion, and then there were others.
You really shared your vision with us, and I'm very excited about that. You talked about hiring new staff to some very key positions that are going to be very critical to the day-to-day operations. Please share with us a little bit more about your vision regarding some of the culture that exists with, say, for example, a 30-year employee that has been here,
that does their own thing?
Well, we can't have people doing their own thing, because ultimately everyone's accountable. I'm accountable to you, you're accountable to the community that you serve. So everyone has to understand who they're accountable to.
Everybody has a role.
And I think it's important that we look at our workforce and realize we have some very good individuals here who serve this community and really just want to be in an environment that is seeking excellence and where they understand what the expectations are so they can go and achieve that. So we'll work with those employees to make sure that they have the leadership and the cooperation that they need to be effective in their positions. There probably are some people that have been here for a long time that have been frustrated with the lack of resources. They've been through bankruptcy. No one wants to come to work and hear complaints. I mean, we really, I hope we have an entire team of people that really do care about serving the community. So I think it's working with each individual employee to understand, what the best opportunities for them are, and then giving them opportunities to really grow and excel and develop their skill sets.
Right, and also just to kind of add to your comments, I know of some current employees that have been here for quite some time that have never really had a performance report.
Yeah.
I mean, a real performance report or training.
Mm-hmm.
They've just kind of stated.
Right.
But I know it's going to be a new day, and you'll be held accountable because you're it. It starts with you.
And that's an important thing, to hold people accountable. We've got to make sure that we are doing performance evaluations, that we have supervisory level employees that are really working with them to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and there's nothing wrong with identifying your weaknesses and then developing a plan of action to give them the training. Maybe it's additional mentoring, but to make sure that we're giving them every opportunity to be successful. And so once we know that they have the tools, then certainly holding them accountable. But first we have to make sure that we're giving them the tools and the proper feedback so that they can be successful.
Absolutely, and also to let the audience know that effective next Monday, the 7th, we will be open Monday through Friday, correct?
We'll be open Monday through Friday, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Richard.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want I appreciate all of this dialogue that's going on. It's very important that the public understand that we've talked about a lot of these things already, and it was just so exciting to me to hear you talk about changing the culture in the organization, because that accountability starts with you, and I think that is very crucial, very important. And I am so excited to hear those things happen, and I'm excited to see the change. And I believe that the public will also be excited to see the change, because there's nothing like a broken culture. And if once you get that all together through staff training and accountability, and I think it will all work out well. Your vision for the city is very exciting. I'm looking forward to new things happening in San Bernardino, one that was born and raised here, and I'm looking for a new San Bernardino. So thank you for being honest and sincere with us tonight and answering our questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrios.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Miller, I'm very excited to have you aboard. You have the attitude and I think the caliber that the city needs in order for us to get to where we need to go. And right away, it's just recovering and getting to a stable position. I do want to mention and speak up for small businesses and business in San Bernardino. We have identified that San Bernardino is not business friendly, and I hope and expect that you will change that reputation for our city, because I think it is imperative in our recovery that we do the necessary changes that we need to make, and you know more about that than I do, to improve in that area for businesses, and especially small businesses in our community, because those people are employing people in our community, which is feeding families out there. So, and I'm very, very looking forward to developing a working relationship with yourself and getting San Bernardino back to prosperity. Thank you.
Councilmember Mulvihill.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I think I'm probably going to be repeating several comments that have already been made. I really appreciate the questions that Councilman Nickel and Councilman Valdivia asked, and basically the issues that we dealt with in so many closed sessions. Look forward to working with you. We've already been working together already. There's been some grant programs that have been put in for, so that's a great thing. We very much need that. I was so impressed with your qualifications, your background, and especially the fact that you wanted the challenge of being in San Bernardino. A lot of, I would just suspect that many people sort of question, why would a qualified person want to come to San Bernardino if you're looking for a peaceful path to the future? And the point, and what I'm so grateful for is that, in fact, you want the challenge. You see that there's opportunities to improve the city, and that's the reason why you want the challenges. You really want to see, in the years that you're going to be here, that there's been improvements in the city. And I'm especially looking forward to, with my planning background, the whole idea of doing a strategic planning process, of getting this group of people. I've always mentioned, people say, the council's always arguing with one another. Well, the point is, we didn't come from the same families. We weren't raised in the same areas of the city, not even in the same city necessarily. We're not all the same age. We didn't go to the same schools. We didn't have the same parents. Why should we not have disagreements? But the point is, of doing a strategic planning process, it creates the opportunities for people to create that vision, a vision big enough that everybody can buy into. And that's so important. Unless I'm misreading the council this evening, I think the unanimity of the feelings that we have for the contract and for your willingness to step up to it, I think is just reflective of the fact that, not only is this the most, I think, elaborate contract that we've had, but very seldom do we ever seem to be all on board with one another. And so I'm very pleased with again, the process and the results, and look forward to a long, good relationship and improvements of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just say something about that, I think the alignment is going to be critical as we move forward. And as I've had a chance to spend time with each one of you, I actually think there's more alignment than you may realize, because it's obvious you all care deeply about your community. And I think if we can come together and have those very respectful conversations about what's important to you, the people that you represent, your community as a whole, we can create that vision. And once the council creates that vision for a very prosperous San Bernardino, it's easy for us to then take that and communicate that with the staff, with the residents, because we do want to create a level of excitement and energy that will help support and encourage the progress. So again, once we have that alignment, it's very easy to communicate that to the staff. I think they're looking forward to some alignment and understanding specifically what the direction is and what the council hopes to achieve, and then we can move well on our way to doing that.
Thank you. No further discussions. We have a motion and a second. I'm pleased to like to ask the city clerk to call for a voice vote.
On item 11, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette, and the second by Ms. Marquez. Ms. Marquez?
Yes.
Mr. Barrios?
Yes.
Mr. Valdivia?
Yes.
Mr. Charette?
Yes.
Mr. Nichol? I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Nichol?
Yes.
Ms. Richard?
Yes.
Mr. Mulvihill?
Very definite yes.
The vote is unanimous. Thank you.
I want to thank the council for the deliberative process. I felt it was very important as we entered into this process to reach out and to have some very specific guidelines. And so with that, I took the opportunity to, together with Andy Belknap, to develop some of those guidelines. And there was some very robust discussion, and we followed those, and as a result of that, we were able to put together what I think was a very meaningful profile for the qualifications. And so I thank the council for this decision and look forward to our continued involvement. I want to thank our city manager for helping to lay the groundwork for the succession. I think that it's been very prudent and very effective at giving the council the opportunity to have the quality and capacity that comes with the new city manager. So thank you very much for your efforts in this regard. We will now take up item number 12 to discuss and provide direction regarding $350,000 CDBG funding allocation for veterans housing.
Thank you. We mentioned this a little while ago, and I'll just review what it is we're doing today with this item and what we're not. The item before us, for the sake of the public, is a request of the council to discuss a proposal that we received from a group called, be good if I turn to the right page here, called U.S. Vets. It's a nonprofit housing corporation, and they have done projects throughout the state, probably, I don't know, beyond the state. And they're a very high reputation organization. The council will recall recently when we did the workshop on housing issues, there was a lot of discussion of the priority of veterans housing. One of the challenges that we have in spending the $350,000 that we set aside for veterans housing in our CDBG budget is that we need projects that are at such a stage of completion that the money can be spent expeditiously. We're already on notice by HUD that our CDBG spending over the last several years has been too slow, and at a certain point you can actually lose funding if you don't expedite the spending. So two things happened all at once here. One is that we reiterated the priority of veterans housing as one of our housing goals for this year. And secondly, we received the letter that's attached to the agenda report from U.S. Vets identifying the fact that this organization is already invested in our community. They've acquired 2 sites within the city, one of them on East Street and the other, I think, is on 17th. Several of you have met them. I don't know, perhaps all of you have, but met representatives from U.S. Vets. They have moved the first of their projects, the East Street project, quite a ways down the road on the project approval process, but they're still in the last phases of obtaining financing to go forward. It seems like a great project. It seems like a good time for us to move this project forward and to perhaps fund it. The reason I didn't put approval of funding on the agenda is that we had not been to the City Council to discuss process before we did that. I don't know of any other any veterans project right now that's remotely this far along and seeking funding, but the potential may be that there are. If the City Council wishes to do some kind of posting and receive proposals before the Council makes a final decision on funding, that is something that's up to the City Council, and you can do that. We will have to go through all of the public hearings and public review processes that CDBG funding must go through. And so even if you should direct to move forward with the project, we still have to take public input and go through that kind of process. So we're looking for council direction right now, how comfortable you feel with moving forward.
Councilman Nickel.
Yeah, a question was posed to me. I know the city of Redlands has been debating a veterans housing project, and I know that there's some issues related to that. The question was posed to me, is there a way in which this funding could be allocated to, say, a project in another city, or does it have to be in our city?
It has to be in our city. It's CDBG funding.
Okay, so there's no way we could contribute to another project elsewhere?
No, this is entitlement money that comes to us specifically to be spent in our city.
Okay. And then what is the timeline in terms of if we do move forward with this evening, what's the process, the road ahead look like?
I know that you're talking about the project specifically?
Right.
I know that the project has gone to the development review staff level. Mr. Persico, can you give us an update on where it is? There are representatives of U.S. Vets here, if the council wishes to speak to them.
I was actually just emailing my staff to find out where it was. We do have 2 applications. They have gone through, I believe, the pre-application process, and that is where all of the departments get together and give them preliminary feedback on their project. But I didn't get an answer back. So I do believe that they are both in the pre-application process.
They have people here that could probably...
Yeah, they probably know better than I do, yeah.
Would you like to have them come?
Yes, please.
I'm Lori Allgood, VP of Housing Development for U.S. Vets. I believe it's Tuesday that we're before design review for the final time, then move forward into the planning and zoning immediately afterwards. We do have title to both properties. We are ready to begin the process of construction as early as the beginning of the year. With the allocation of this funding, we'll be able to move forward with our process. And on the first project is 30 units. We think that will take about 12 months to complete. Then we would move straight into the next project, the 17th Street project.
And one other question, if I may. What type of support services are typically required of these types of facilities? And does this location, is this conducive to the types of support services that these types of residents will need?
Yes, absolutely. So with the veteran population, as you can imagine, there are intense support services that are required. We have been operating for over 24 years. We're located in 5 states. In the Inland Empire, we have over 433 veterans and their families that we're serving. So as far as the services that are provided to the veterans, it's, of course, counseling, suicide prevention. We help with job counseling, reintegration into the community, just a myriad of services that are provided. And those are provided at each of the facilities that we operate.
Thank you.
Councilman Mulvihill.
Yes, I guess I have a question for you. Veterans define a whole wide group. What qualifications of the types of veterans are included in your group? Just to be a veteran, or is there...
Chronically homeless,
okay,
at risk of becoming homeless.
Okay.
And there are plenty of veterans.
I understand that. I understand that. But again, it doesn't really say very much in terms of what the backgrounds of these veterans happen to be. So we're dealing essentially with homeless or potentially homeless, but there's also families involved, correct?
That's correct. Yes,
in
sir.
some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Councilman Schramm.
That was my question, Jim. It's not just single men or single veterans. There are women that are veterans, I know. It's not just single people, it's families. It could be a family that could be housed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is correct. And we do provide services for families as well.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, my name's Eddie Estrada. I'm the executive director with U.S. Vets, and I oversee the Inland Empire site. So that's right. These 2 projects will serve both single adults and families. And actually, the way we're looking at the 17th Street, it's going to be more family-focused. And so we're looking at families, low-income families.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Barrios.
Just want to move for approval and move forward with U.S. Vets.
Second.
You're just looking for consensus.
We can make that, we can change that. We can fund it tonight.
Can we fund it? We would bring back a resolution.
You can't fund it. You could direct us to bring back, and we will have to make sure we've gone through the right HUD steps before you adopt that resolution. But I would love to have a recommendation to bring back U.S. vet-specific project.
That's exactly what I want to say.
I think we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Yes, Councilman Marquez.
Mark, is there an expiration date on this funding, the $350,000?
It's not so much this funding as it is the entire CDBG funding level. You're required to spend a certain amount a year.
I see.
And this helps us because it makes $350,000 that we will be able to successfully spend in this coming year. So that's a very good outcome for us in terms of our spending limits.
I'm excited about this project because it's we're finally going to have affordable housing for homeless vets. And we met with Eddie about a year ago, and we were excited. It's like, when is it coming to the City Council? So I'm voting yes on this. Thank you.
Call for the question.
City Clerk.
On item 12, the motion is to direct the city manager to bring back a resolution supporting funding for U.S. vets under CDBG allocation. Is that a correct? Okay. And the motion was made by Mr. Barrios and the second by Mr. Valdivia, and the item passed 7-0.
Very good, thank you. Next is item 13. This is a report on the infill housing program. This is a receive and file. Mark Scott.
Oh, is that for me? Yes. This item, I know I just left employment a minute ago. This item probably should be on the consent calendar.
We're still paying you, aren't we?
I think so.
We're paying you to do what,
I think so. I know.
Friday, so come on.
I know, my evaluation's going to be so bad. But the item, the material here is just follow-up to questions the council members had asked at the meeting in June. I don't know if Ms. Cotto is here or not.
She was.
There she is. She magically appeared. And so if you have any questions, we'll have her come up. But this was just a response to council.
Did you have a question? Councilman Nickel?
Yeah, just a request, when we were reviewing this with constituents, just if we could get a list and the costs, maybe if there is some way we could associate what the locations actually are. I know we got a map, but people were asking me, well, where is this location, and what do we anticipate the costs being for these various projects? I assume we'll probably get some kind of a breakdown similar to that at some point.
Yeah, we can get you a typical pro forma of what one of these projects would cost.
Okay. People were, anytime we hear modular housing, people think mobile home. So I think I would really like to include in this a description, an explanation of what we really mean by modular housing, that this isn't about putting a bunch of mobile homes next to people that are, quite frankly, a little concerned that if a mobile home is put on the property next to their home, that's going to devalue their property. I said, these are not mobile homes. In fact, they'll probably be a lot better than the house you're living in terms of aesthetics and quality. So, but anyway, if maybe just to provide some support in terms of exactly what type of units we're talking about, some photos or some descriptions of that, I think would go a long way to address some of the concerns that were expressed to me.
Certainly. Actually, at the June 21st meeting, we did have a presentation available, but we didn't deliver it. It didn't seem like there was time warranted for that. But we can come back at any time with that presentation. And actually, it is our intent to give you a status report of the housing programs in September.
Thank you. Does that conclude your report?
I think that concludes my career.
Right.
But other than
Thank you. Item number 14 is to discuss and provide statuses to the evaluation of a wireless marketing proposal received from 5 Bars. Mitch Cochran.
Good evening. As directed by our City Council, we're evaluating and working with 5 Bars LLC to provide a proposal for your review. We're working with them to clarify some contractual issues, such as the funding formula, the cost of the survey for the radio frequency, the expected projections for our area, and some minor contractual language. We weren't able to get that for you for tonight. We expect to have that agreement available on the council meeting for the 16th. The urgency that we had to have that come forward, part of that is to make sure that it's voted on prior to the Assembly. The Assembly is not due back from their summer recess until August 23rd. So we will be in time to discuss it at the meeting on the 16th.
Very good. In packet page 286, in the center of the body of the document, it talks about, in exchange for their services, 5 Bars LLC proposes an ongoing revenue sharing agreement of 65% for the city, 35% for 5 Bars. Is that up for negotiation?
Yes, it is, and that's part of some of the discussion that we're having now right with them. The one city had a 65-35 split, another city had a 75-25 split, based on the cost of that radio frequency survey, in that they basically said, if they're paying the money for this survey to outline where the available poles are, where basically to be used for marketing, what do we have to provide to radio or to cell phone carriers. And so we need that frequency survey as a baseline. And so if we pay that cost up front, then we can go to a 75-25 survey.
Very good, thank you. And also then on page 287, the third paragraph, the last sentence, it says, once a site is implemented, the city is restricted from adding any city-owned telecommunications equipment on the site. So is there language would be less limiting than that?
We can take that forward. Right now, it's, my understanding is that once they own a pole to sell the rights to that site or pole or whatever, they want to be able to own that, and we can't then add to it. So, but we do have the capability to restrict sites prior to them selling it. So we can identify which ones would be the most advantageous for us as we go forward to develop our own infrastructure.
Thank you. And if SB 649 were to pass and we were to enter into an agreement with Fibars, what would be the impact if subsequently SB 649 is ruled to preempt our Fibars agreement?
At that point, I would have to defer to the city attorney, but my understanding is that those agreements would, the cell carriers would be able to take advantage of whatever rate structure SB 649 provides.
So then, even though we might have an agreement, we could still be subject to the provisions of SB 649?
Yes, and we have been contacted by Verizon. They're going to be sending us a letter, basically in opposition, and one of their comments was they feel that 649 will preempt any agreements. So there is a discussion out there.
Thank you.
I wonder in that regard, Mayor, if Fibars can provide, or if they have provided other municipalities with a legal opinion with respect to that issue, because it is an issue. And if they are trying to sell their contract, among other reasons, because it will protect the city from 649 and what it ultimately causes detriment to the city, perhaps they can provide a legal opinion that will help to support that. I don't know if that's possible or not, or if they've been asked to do that, or if they have such an opinion already.
Deputy City Attorney Steve Graham. I've been working with Mitch and Andrea on negotiating with Fibars. To answer the mayor's question as to if we enter into this agreement prior to the passage of SB 649, what result would SB 649 have upon that agreement? The honest answer is that it's uncertain. The intent of entering into the exclusive agreement with Fibars would be to allow us to charge more for poles within the city, to get more revenue for the city for use of our infrastructure, to have more control over the design aesthetics and over where these are being placed. 649 is being passed by the legislature with the specific intent of stripping that power from local government. So there is a conflict there between the prospective economic advantage of the city and Fibars in their pre-existing contract and the legislation that's passed by the legislature. Case law would seem to support that pre-existing contractual right, but that hasn't always been successful. We'll remember some of our past experiences with things like SB EDC. So I would simply say it's uncertain.
And probably we would be looking to Fibars to be the ones to assert that interference with contracts, potentially a case or something, some similar type matter to try to bring a resolution to that, given that we would want to limit the use of our financial resources.
And I would say that specifically, when we spoke with the city manager, about our negotiation position in this. I don't want to go too much into our negotiations because Fibars has asked us to, negotiate and keep it between the parties until we bring a contract to the council. But I will say that they have been very willing to make contractual obligations on their behalf regarding enforcing this contract and who's going to defend it and who's going to pay for it. So that's something that we brought up, and they've been negotiating with us in good faith on that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the point that we need to all remember here is that the State House certainly is vehemently in favor of this, and I think all signs are indicating that they're going to pass SB 649. the idea here is that we capture revenue, and that's the beauty of this. If we were to enter in a resolution and the council were to approve it ultimately on August 16th. So Mitch, is that the goal and intention that this would come back before the council?
Yeah, they are aware. We walked through the timing with them, so they're aware we have one more meeting before the legislature resumes their session. So they know that that's our target date to have this back to the council.
All right. And is there a provision, have we negotiated the knockdown pole issue? I brought that to the attention of our folks.
Yes, we have had discussions with them. We're providing a list of our assets to them, because remember, an awful lot of our poles we don't own, the Edison-type poles, so I assume that we're...
Well, with the exception of the Edison poles.
Right, yes. So, yes, we're having those discussions with them, and they were here that night as well and heard some of the concerns from the council about the knockdown poles.
To refresh and renew the conversation is that my concern is that if we were to have private industry like 5 bars, and we were to enter a contract into allowing them to replace that, they could do it much quicker, faster, and they're obligated to replace that pole, and that's the beauty of entering this. So I'd love to see that in language in that agreement that's coming for us. Thank you.
And I think to add to that, we did get some projections on dollar estimates. The one hard part is the dollars per cell site varies literally from $0 to $3,000. The $3,000 were the ones were put in for the Super Bowl. So those are kind of an extremity. But they said if we took a $250 annual, the 5 bars came back and they said at the end of 5 years they would estimate that we'd have 281 sites. For a total revenue of somewhere around $226,000. Of that, we would be realizing $147,000. So that's at the end of 5 years.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't believe this requires any action on the part of the council this time.
An update, and then assure you that it will be back on the agenda again for your next meeting.
Thank you. Next is item 15. This is a report for the League of California Cities, the executive forum, and we have 3 council members. Are all 3 of you planning to give a report? Or
Why don't just one of you do it?
Councilman Barrios?
Thank you, Mayor. This was the first time I personally attended the executive forum, which was held up in Monterey, California, and a lot of great insight as far as for mayors and council members to go to workshops to improve themselves as elected officials. And I want to encourage all of our council to attend as much as we can these events by the California League of Cities, so that we're in one accord and we understand what is going on throughout the state, and we understand, each other when we're coming from certain ideas or certain aspects or perspectives because of the information we learn from these workshops that we have. So, and I did attend along with I think a few of my colleagues. There was a workshop on how to choose a city manager. It was an interesting conversation. So. And those are the types of things, to get outside perspectives on how to go about that process. So it's very, very informative and very worth the time going up. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Valdivia?
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, also joined the Monterey learning event with Councilman Mulvihill and Barrios. Enjoyed my time driving up with Councilman Barrios. We shared a lot of good tunes on the radio and others. We just had a good time. So just very impressed with the information. It, too, was my first time attending the June event. And Friday was the leadership finance course. So that was the long, all-day type of course on finances, which I certainly need to brush up. So it was a great event. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Mulvihill?
Thank you, Mayor. And I also want to echo the fact it was good getting together in an informal situation with my fellow councilmen. And I think one of the real advantages is that there's 200 elected officials, council people, and mayors from cities all over California, and you get to realize the commonality of the problems that we have. And again, the insights that some people bring to them, the problems they have faced and they haven't yet faced. But some of again, we had Lucy Jones, who's the earthquake specialist, went over a number of again, probably the same talk she gave in I guess, around Lake Arrowhead in that meeting there. And again, with regard to evaluating city managers and so forth. On Friday, the executive session, I went to the opposite one. Mr. Valdivia went to the finance. I went to the all-day session on exceptional counsel for exceptional times, creating governance culture. And basically what it got into was the sorts of things we've been talking about here. The idea that you need to get disparate people on the same line. That having a number of people who are just isolates or, just really not on the same channel as the others are, is really dispiriting, not just for the council itself, but it really doesn't augur well for the entire community as a whole. And so I was very pleased, and we had some excellent speakers, and plus there was lots of interactions among the 80 or so council people and mayor that attended it. So very good, very well attended and very well received. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item 16, another report. The Esri Business Summit, Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. This was a business summit that had to do with elected officials and, certainly IT, technology, and it was a week-long conference. Within it, there were several conferences of kind of specific strategy, and I opted to attend, not the week-long. I just couldn't afford it, personal time and whatnot, but the business summit was certainly inspirational to understand the platform, the technological platforms available for cities, code enforcement, and really highlighting the technological advancements of how to integrate some processes that we can, I think, implement, hopefully, into our city government. I was very inspired to hear of two cities that provided some new advancements in their reporting system, and it was certainly beneficial. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, I'll give a brief report on my attendance at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the 85th annual meeting. The U.S. Conference of Mayors had 261 mayors that were registered throughout the country to attend that. One of the workshops that I attended was the Water Council workshop. This was a workshop that was designed to talk about city resiliency. Included in that workshop, I was informed of one of the, I believe it was New York City's resilience plan, and they've adopted what they call curbside rain guards for a fairly inexpensive fee. They're able to take and redirect stormwater back into their basin, which helps to then take advantage of that storm runoff. And for a cost of about $28,000, it's a very simple mechanism by which to capture stormwater and replenish your basins. That was one of the ideas that came out of that. One of the speakers was the U.S. Labor Secretary, Alexander Acosta, and he talked certainly about unemployment. He also talked about the number of job openings that there are in the United States, and at that time, there were approximately 6 million openings. He also talked about one of the impediments to investment in the United States, and that has to do with the skill gap and employee gaps that cities are facing. Also talked about workforce development. One of the other task force that I attended was conducted by Vice Chairman Scott Slogel, first Vice President of the Export-Import Board. Talked about some of the deficiencies that they're not able to remedy as a result of needing leadership to be appointed into some of those positions. Talked about some of the other countries who are creating export-import banks and starting to make some inroads on the United States because of their moving ahead with export-import banks agendas. At that time, during the conference, our export-import bank was missing some appointments. One of the other speakers was Mayor from New York City, Bill de Blasio, and he talked about the health care debate. Learned of a reading program that has been implemented by Hattiesburg. They put together a project where they build book stands and they install those book stands in restaurants, and then they outfit them with free books to encourage reading for students and families that come to their restaurants. We were also addressed by former President Bill Clinton. He talked about the opiate epidemic, also talked about wind technology and energy. One of the breakout sessions talked about gun violence. And New Haven, Connecticut, talked about their Shot Spotter program and their community-based policing. That same meeting, the ATF gave a report on their bullet, how they have a comprehensive tracing for tying bullets to guns that have been shot. So that's a few of the highlights of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. It's always very instructive, very valuable conference, and I appreciated the opportunity to be able to attend that. This time, we'll now turn over our time to the public speakers for items not on the agenda. We'll start with Robert Porter.
City Manager, Council, Mayor, good people. Oh, Ms. Miller, I'm not going to give you a hassle, but I do want you to know that a vast majority of our people don't believe you should be making that much money. Not that a woman shouldn't make that much money, but in general. And we should really seriously take a look at this. San Bernardino doesn't have a lot of money, and almost $300,000. Wow. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of money. That's a house in San Bernardino. So I hope you'll take that large funding that you're getting and reinvest it back in our community here by moving here. I know you said that you love your community and you're vested there with your family. But I'm vested here, and the taxpayers of San Bernardino are vested here. And we need people who really, really are involved here. I mean, you're going to want to go home when you're done in the week. But we need a city manager who's here for those weekend events, for those events to bring their kids, to lead by example. So please consider moving to San Bernardino. It would really, really look good. And the comments about your salary, we could go on for days. I mean, so we need to look into that. The people don't agree with it. They really don't agree with these high salaries. They don't. So I don't know how to get a handle on those. I know it's a California-wide problem, but we're not Bell. And I don't even know how Bell got all that money up for that. But we need to seriously look at our salaries here. Now, this is incredible. Thank you very much for, coming in here and working hard. I do appreciate you all very much. I know I'm hard on all of you. I'm working to try to make San Bernardino better. Now we're out of bankruptcy. We could use as much help as possible, so I'm going to try to stay more positive, but stay away from the big salaries. And, if there's problems down at the water department and there's rumors going around, take care of them, Mr. Mayor, because those rumors are no good. Thank you very much.
Frank Pierce.
Okay, I thought you had it for me. Okay. Mayor Keys, Richards, Valdebias, Chairman Charay, Nicole, Barrio, and Momadel. I'm speaking to encourage us to first start on a vertical spiral parking structure, also known as a carousel parking structure in the Carousel District Business Industrial Design. It should be right where the existing parking lot enters on East Street and Court, with the base chiseled out of the existing structure as a reinforced circular design of about 260.26 decimeters in diameter. So when the area is cleared within, we will build the frame of the thing in that area. And in completion, it will slightly resemble the Leaning Tower of Pi, going up straight and strong. And this is to complement, or the Lean Tower Pi, excuse me. And this is to complement the existing structures and to make Purdue, or as I like to say, Suburbo, a cutting-edge city of the future, because the abstract beauty of it is that the obscure beauty of it is that when we create a single-passenger dirigible gliders that may fly in and out the side of the structure, and later we'll build a darker one connected with horizontal platforms diagonally to it. The Carousel Mall was built as a place where a mother can go shopping, with a place to pacify her children, yet was never complete. Though Suburbo maintained as a cruiser town of Route 66, as shown on the sign out front, and we need to respect it for its character. So we're not to mimic other big cities that are cluttered with taxis, because no one wants non-driver vehicles in California. This is evident by the single drivers on the freeway. Also, there's many statistics that show lack of parking destroys businesses, cutting production rates by more than 80% when parking is eliminated. In fact, this is evident by the way the Omni Trolley obstructs our businesses. So if we want to create the most lucrative property to attract the best businesses and the best business minds, we need an attractive parking structure, or no great business minds will want to do business here. And the sad suckers who reside here will fail. And statistics have also shown that a single parking space can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for the city from meters, car show, vending, ticketing, and business taxing if needed. So adding this to the business industrial design is very easy as a simple structure rising up clockwise. And in conclusion, we have the funds to start this now with $10 million as a small fraction of our revenue. So make this the main focus of our business industrial design, a carousel parking lot. And here's the design.
Thank you.
And okay. And
next, our next speaker is
remember
Gwen.
to give the person who's talking the courtesy to conclude. Just I'll be with that. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Gwen Dethet.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, City Attorney, Assistant City Manager, and Clerk's Office. My name is Gwen Dethet. I'm here tonight on behalf of Sevens Camp. Sevens Camp uses SUAS, or commonly known as drones, in our business. We use them for aerial productions, and we use them for real estate, and there's a myriad of uses that we have. Drones are used across the nation. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, anticipates over $9 billion industry in America. We have a business that was here in San Bernardino, and because of lack of getting our business license, because of the planning department's, I think, not understanding of the drone industry, we had to move our business out of San Bernardino. We would like to see that happen so we can move it back here. A licensed drone pilot earns $50 an hour. That's a huge boon to the economy here in the city of San Bernardino. A licensed pilot can be from 14 years old and up. And so there's a lot of opportunity here. We hate to see it slip away. And we would like some, appreciation on that. As Councilman Barrio said, it's not a business-friendly city. So we'd like to kind of work with that. We have talked with some people here and the council and city manager and try to understand what the delay is, and we don't really understand what it is. The delay, as I said, had caused us to move our business out of the city. Licensed pilots, as I said, earn $50 an hour. We also offer training. The drone industry is a $9 billion commercial industry throughout the country. So there's a lot of money here. This is not a joke. As of March this year, over 52,000 certificated commercial pilots had been licensed. We also offer training for people to become licensed from 14 years old and up. They can become licensed. It also has all of the STEAM and STEM qualifications as far as training. So for our youth, it's a wonderful, wonderful training program. You may be aware that we have a lack of pilots right now in the country, and it does build a love and enthusiasm for becoming a pilot of a manned, which is the planes, Cessnas and such, vehicle versus the drones, SUAS, a small unmanned aircraft system. So we would appreciate some love, and so that we can get moving with our business license, bring our business back to San Bernardino, and get these people, young adults and up, so they can become licensed and they can earn that $50 an hour. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Linwood?
That was just my wife right there. Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members, and also the City Manager and the City Attorney. My name is Linwood Doppett, and I am the owner of Sevens Camp, and we have been trying to get a business license in this city for, 9 months to almost 9 months trying to get a business license in the city. And I understand that one of the reasons was there was no governance for drones, which are coming up. And there's such a big issue and such a big thing. Over 3 million drones last year alone were sold in this country around the holidays. So you're going to see a big change, a big wave in drones and things like that. But we're the professionals. We fly drones for a living. And we hire professional FAA certified pilots that are actually certified by the FAA to fly the drones. You're going to see drones in your skies, and they're coming soon because you're in what's called D-class airspace, which actually goes to G-class airspace after the airport closes down. You're going to see more and more hobbyist drones flying in your skies. So what we do, like I said, we hire and train pilots. Our pay rate for our pilots is $50 an hour. In San Bernardino, that is a very good thing. And you don't need a specific set of skills. What you do need is the desire to want to become a pilot. And we train and we get you the training necessary to pass the FAA certified test. And we also train you to fly safely. My background includes a very safe thing. I was a former police officer, former federal officer, and I understand all of the issues that drones may present. I understand all of the issues, the concerns of drones. But as far as a business and civilly flying in the skies over your city, we would like to present certain things that will help you guys to get forward on this and move forward so that we can get our business license, come back into the city, and offer jobs and training to people that want to get these jobs. And that's pretty much it. She pretty much said the rest of the stuff. I wanted to say that we are now the first in the state of California to get a special exemption for flying drones under the FAA from the, what was the ETP? The special education, BPPE. We just got that exemption to teach and train people how to fly drones. And so with that, I just implore you guys to move forward, help us move forward so that we can get our business license in this city and be able to provide jobs necessary that pay a much higher rate than we're seeing with with all of the, I know my time is up, all of the specific like warehouse jobs and things like that hardly pay anything. So this is a good thing for San Bernardino, it's a good thing for us, and we would just like to see you guys aid us in being able to come forward and be a part of San Bernardino and its economy. Thank you.
Anna Marie Fletcher.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, public here, and all other parties. I am here to support the Sevens Camp, Lenny, Deltet, and Gwen. They are not from this area. I just want to emphasize that. They come from Long Beach. They wanted to build their business here. They have not been able to. I have recently taken their course. I am getting ready to apply for my license pilot so that I can get a job in this area and help them teach other people to learn how to fly drones so they can get their pilots. And this all really beautifully ties in with the new mission that San Bernardino has right now to rebuild ourselves, to get better, to encourage people to come, to encourage our kids right now especially to stay. They want to leave so quickly, and I can't say that I blame them. I have not left because this is my home. My family's been here for over 100 years. I love this place. I'm glad to see the City Council working so hard together. I hope it continues, but we need these small businesses to come into our city, and they want to come here. They could have picked any place else in California. They picked here. They are a wonderful couple. This is a bona fide business. It's going to provide so much opportunity for people, for our youngsters in high school, people retired, starting a new career, a second career, an adjunct career, you name it. They have the ability to do that, and they are just awesome people. If they're not given a chance to do this here, they're going to move elsewhere, and I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm probably going to move with them. I may not leave the area, but I will be working with them elsewhere. I just want to thank you for your time, and please really consider letting them start their business here so that we can really add to the improvement overall of San Bernardino and the way it's grown. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Nichol?
Yeah, well, no, I just want to mention I thank Gwen, and thank you for your comments. I did have an opportunity to chat with you recently. I also just happened to buy a drone this week, so I'm going to probably need some training, so you may have a customer here, but this is a growth industry. One of the things I mentioned several meetings ago, I went to the International Security Conference in Las Vegas. In April, there was an entire section dedicated to unmanned aerial vehicles. This is a huge growth industry, and it's something that I agree, I think really dovetails nicely with some of the priorities we have within our school district to attract our young people to science and engineering and mathematics. And nothing tends to attract these kids more than an aerial vehicle flying around. It's something that's, it brings the kid out in me just thinking about it. But this is a very serious business as well. And I think the utility of these vehicles and these types of operations will only grow with time. And I think we do have a great opportunity here. And I want to thank you for thinking about our city, for coming out here. And I look forward to working with you and helping you expand this very exciting business in our town. So thank you, and I'll be working with staff to make sure that whatever we can do to get through these items that you're trying to deal with, we'll do so. So thank you.
Thank you. Ruben? Arceo?
Good afternoon, City Council members of the City Council. I'd like to apologize. I had a stroke a week ago, so it has caused me to slip a little bit, but I'm over it. I'm here in support of the City Council selection of Andrea Travis as the City Manager. I work with Andrea Travis as her Community Development Director for the City of La Mirada, and I can speak highly of the mettle of this person. I heard someone mention about how grateful that she's here. I cannot be, as a resident of 14 resident of the city of San Bernardino, I cannot tell you how grateful I am to see Andrea here today. I know the mettle that she brings to the city. Hearing her talking about bringing a culture of winning, a culture of success reminded me when I sat as her director and how can I say, the effort to strive for success, to bring some harmony and unification for the departments. I work for the county of San Bernardino. Your staff is at the county. I mean, your chief building official works at the county of San Bernardino in land use services. I mean, your staff is fleeing. You need to hold on to your institutional base. This Andrea will bring that mentality. This is what we need here. When I found in the paper that my former city manager was coming, I couldn't have been happier because I know the experience that this person has in terms of city government, in terms of development processes, in terms of understanding business friendly. We are fortunate to have. I mean, to say that we're paying her, it's not enough, in my opinion. That we're paying her. I mean, she's worth. I could speak as a citizen resident. It's not enough. Believe me, when you have the caliber of a person like this, that's what you need. You need someone like this in order to secure someone with that level of experience for our city. We need it here in our city of San Bernardino. So I just I apologize that my diction is not as clear. It's been a little difficult trying to get through my stroke. But I understand the caliber of this person. I worked with her for 6-7 years. She made the success that I am today within my profession. She will do the same thing for the staff here. And so, Mr. Davis, and City Council, I just wanted to congratulate all of you for making the right decision in hiring this person, because I know what she has done for La Mirada. I worked there, and I know that she lives there, and I know how she cares for police safety, for business development. This is what we need. We have just hired the right person, and someone who's going to stay and be committed. You were looking for commitment from Andrea. You're looking at committed with a capital C right here. That's what Andrea is. I know she made a believer in me. She made me a success in my profession, and I just want to speak on behalf for the wise decision that the City Council made today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to pay Ruben. Ruben was probably one of the best community development directors I ever worked with. And so, I mean, it's an honor to have Ruben here. So,
Thank you. Do we have any items from council members to refer to council committees? Seeing none, we'll now ask our Councilmember Mulvihill for any announcements.
Yes, I think the first announcement I have is our Assemblyman, Mark Steinhardt, is sponsoring a animal adoption at our San Bernardino Animal Shelter, 333 Chandler Place, San Bernardino, this Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The first 100 animals will be adopted for free, and not just cats and dogs. I've been down there, and they've got turtles and snakes and rabbits, and among other things. So if you want to, thinking about just looking over what kind of animals they've got, the first 100 adoptions will be free, as per Assemblyman Steinhardt. And the other announcement, of course, is the fact that our Northeast District Coffee with a Cop will be next Wednesday, August 9th, 9 a.m., the same place, Denny's Restaurant. Contact Eileen Hards at 909-384-5694. Thank you much, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Richard?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On Saturday, August the 5th, Young Visionaries will be having a back-to-school backpack giveaway in Rialto at the Johnson Community Center. The address is 214 North Palm Avenue, Rialto, California. You can contact Amanda Van at 909-723-1693. This event is free and for all school-age children. On Wednesday, August the 9th, at 6:30 p.m., Terrace West Neighborhood Association will be having their meeting at the VFW at 2016 Foothill Boulevard. Contact Charlie Jacobs at 909-889-0181. On Monday, August the 14th, at 6:30, Northwest PAC will be having their meeting at the New Hope Family Life Center at 1505 West Highland Avenue in the wonderful city of San Bernardino. And I believe that is it. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Nichol.
A few quick announcements. We will have one of our city's signature events taking place will take place this Sunday. We are Sunday, right? I got the right date here. Yes, I do. Last time I got the wrong date, so I just want to make sure I got everything right on this one. But no, this Sunday, August 6th, the Western Little League Regional Tournament will have its opening ceremony taking place at 6 p.m. at the headquarters of the Western Little League at 6707 Little League Drive. Any questions, please contact Cheryl Robinson at 909-887-6444. If any council members wish to attend, or the mayor or any staff, they ask that you please arrive at 5:30 so they can get you to the field. It's really a significant event for our community, a great opportunity for us to showcase our city, and I want to thank city staff. I know I've had some requests to do some cleanups in and around the park area, so thank you for your assistance on this, and I look forward to a very successful event this year. Also, on August 19, from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, we will be hosting a park restoration event at Blair Park. This is an effort that was undertaken by some of our students at Cal State. They've taken on a community service project to help us with our park, and so I will be out there helping them, and certainly anybody who wishes to join. I think this is, again, a great opportunity to showcase our community coming together, and I really appreciate the students at Cal State lending their time and their energy and their weekend to help our city. And finally, I just want to announce that the Norton Air Force Base Museum will be hosting a special evening at the museum on August 23rd, featuring the godfather of military visual information, Dr. Ken Hackman. He spent the years of 1969 to 1993 as a U.S. Air Force combat camera specialist, and will have photos from the years he served in that capacity. It should be very interesting to see, in some cases, some very special type of photography that really, I think, highlights our military history over the last several decades. So I look forward to this. There's a donation of $5 requested. Again, this is at the Norton Air Force Base Museum. This is at 1601 East 3rd Street. Again, August 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. That's all the announcements I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Schrepp.
Thank you, Mayor and Henry. Thank you for that announcement. I had the flyer and was going to make that announcement myself. I went off without the flyer, so I didn't have the information. So I'm glad you were able to do that, and it's a great event. Those events have been fun and informative. We've had a number of them evening at the museum out there, former Norton Air Force Base, and the museum's worth looking at, as well as attending these events, these evenings. They're great. I have just two announcements. This Saturday, Magic Castle musicians present a fun-filled afternoon of comedy magic. It's fun for the whole family. It's this Saturday, August 5th at 2 p.m. Doors open at 1:30 p.m., and that's at the Lutheran Church of Our Savior, 5050 North Sierra Way. It's clear up at the dead end of Sierra Way. Can't miss it. Tickets are $10, and this is to benefit the City of San Bernardino CERT team. That's the Community Emergency Response Team. The CERT team, this is a group of people that train and are ready for any kind of a disaster that we might experience here. Hopefully not, but they're ready to help if they need to. And then Wednesday, I think Jim mentioned it, did you, the Coffee with a Cop, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m., Northeast District Coffee with a Cop at Denny's. It's always a good group and a lot of good information shared there that morning. So, thank you.
Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to remind residents in the southerly portion of the city that on Saturday, August 26th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Community Dump Day will be held at the San Manuel Stadium on South E Street, just north of Mill, and we're encouraging all folks from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Please bring your items that are bulky items, as we consider or classify them as. Large water heaters, couches, TVs, old TV sets, mattresses. We want to certainly clean our city streets, and this is a free dump day for City of San Bernardino residents only, and proper identification and a water bill, please, as you're bringing your items. Once again, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday, August 26th at the San Manuel Stadium. Also on August 23rd, the Southwest District Coffee with a Cop will be at Michael's Burgers on Highland, just east of Muscogee, and we welcome all of our residents to have that conversation and dialogue and building our communities with safe operations, and certainly encourage our residents to come out and be a part of that. That's Wednesday, August 23rd at 9 a.m., Southwest District Coffee with a Cop at Michael's Burgers. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Barrios.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind the community and everybody out there watching that on Junior University is going to have their Peter Pan musical at the Roosevelt Bowl through from July 21st through August 5th. And so I guess this weekend will be their last performances. And it's from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., so please stop by if you have the opportunity to support Junior University. You guys already said that. Just want to remind also, Tuesday, August 8th at 10 a.m., the San Bernardino Business and Community Organization meeting will be held at Arrowhead Event Center, located at 180 South Arrowhead Avenue. For more information about that, contact Eileen Hards at 909-384-5694. On Wednesday, August 9th, the Muscogee Neighborhood Association meeting will be held at the Davidson Elementary School at 6:30 p.m. and it's located at 2844 Davidson Avenue. So for more information on the meeting, and contact Lynn Ware, 951-237-3016. Oh, and Friday, August 18th, mark your calendars, at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., there's going to be a 2017 Veterans Resource Fair hosted by Representative Congressmember Pete Aguilar at the Frank A. Gonzalez Community Center, 670 Colton Avenue in Colton, California. For more information on that event, contact 909-890-4445. August 7th, this Monday coming up, kids are returning to school in San Bernardino. And I want to, first off, wish luck to all the schools and the students attending, and more luck to the teachers that are going to be teaching these kids, as the profession is very respected by myself and a lot of other people. And during the year, I will be having a series of mentoring sessions with the schools. So I am looking for volunteers from any background to participate in this event, to go and tell students your stories of your success and how you've gone through your challenges in life and adversities, to share with them so they have an idea of what life has to offer, and how it's not just a bunch of rainbows. To get more information and volunteer, contact Michelle at 909-454-7026, or you can send an email to hopeculturesb@gmail.com. And thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you. Rainbows, huh? Okay. Yes. Sunshine and rainbows. Okay, I do have a couple of announcements. There will be a grand opening of the WSS Shoes Style Selection at 285 East 9th Street on Saturday, August 5th. at 12:30. Please come and join me. And finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who participated in National Night Out yesterday at Nunez Park. I know the weather left a lot to be desired, but I said it's still on, rain or shine, and I'm glad that we went ahead because it cleared up around 6 o'clock. It ended up being a beautiful evening. We had about at least 225 guests from the community. I want to thank San Bernardino County Fire. Dan, thank you so much for being there, and of course the fire truck. Chief Reguan is gone, but he was there as long, with the staff and Sherlock and a lot of city staff and people from the community. Mayor, thank you. Council members Charette and Valdivia, thank you for being there. It was fun. It was 8:30 and people were still at the park. So it's an annual event that I really enjoy doing, and hopefully the weather will cooperate better next time. And Ms. Miller, welcome aboard. You're officially a city official, permanent, full-time. We'll take the interim out. And Mark, thank you for everything you have done. Just to share, last night, the neighborhood associations from the First Ward presented our city manager with a beautiful shadow box with a piece of the Mount Vernon Bridge. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Councilman Charette.
Virginia, you stole my thunder. I wanted to be the first to congratulate you and welcome you aboard, but Virginia beat me to the punch. But I want to make sure that Mark understands that I think he has to work through Friday. We're still paying you. And so I don't know exactly how that works. We have two city managers now, or once he leaves. Okay, so you can take a couple of days off, and you've got to work the rest of the week. Okay, all right. Mark, no, all serious, all kidding aside, thank you for your service and what you've done here. I've enjoyed thoroughly working with you, and you're a consummate professional, and sorry to see you go, but I'm glad we're able to replace a high quality like yourself with the standard that you're. How much did you pay that guy? No. No, thank you, Mark, for your service, and congratulations, Andrea.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that today Governor Brown signed Assembly Bill 1523, which is the bill design approval for the Mount Vernon Bridge. So, very happy to be able to announce that. City Attorney, you have anything? City Clerk?
I do. Thank you, Mayor. Two announcements. When the city clerk's office goes to 5 days a week, I also want to remind people that the passport offices will go 5 days a week by appointment only from 8 to 1:30 every day. And the other thing I wanted to announce was that with the change in City Hall, the board and commission members need to have photo IDs, and so we have set up 2 photo sessions for them to do that because, and we're going to do it here. Actually, we're going to do it on the second floor in the training room. We're going to have one at 3 p.m. August 9th, that's next Wednesday, and one at 8 a.m. August 16th. So we're hoping to get people either on their way to work or on their way out of work. So, and if they can't make it any of those times, I'm just asking people to contact my office and we'll make arrangements. But those would be the 2 scheduled times we have. So, and council members, I will send you an email to that effect so you can remind your commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager? All right. I'd just like to thank Councilman Valdivia for pointing out that I've had the opportunity to preside over potentially the longest-term city manager's agreement in the most recent history. So appreciate you pointing that out. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.